There was a time when Apple was not a giant, not admired, not trusted. It was fragile. In the beginning, Apple wasn't built in a tower of glass. It was built in uncertainty, in garages, in borrowed time. The early days were full of belief, but belief doesn't pay bills. Ideas were bold, but resources were thin. Every step forward felt like a gamble. From the outside, it looked like progress. From the inside, it felt like pressure. Apple was trying to build something different in a world that didn't ask for different. And when you move against the current, resistance always comes. Money was tight, expectations were heavy, and the margin for error was small. This is the phase most people never hear about. The quiet struggle before the applause. The fragile stage where one mistake can end everything. And Apple was standing right there. At the edge, success didn't arrive smoothly. It arrived with conflict. As Apple grew, so did internal pressure. Ideas clashed. Leadership fractured. Vision blurred. And then something happened that shocked everyone. Steve Jobs, the man who helped create Apple, was removed from his own company. Imagine building something with your soul, only to be told you no longer belong in it. This wasn't just a business decision, it was a personal rejection. After Jobs left, Apple began to lose itself. Products failed. Direction disappeared. Money drained faster than confidence. At one point, Apple was just weeks away from running out of cash. Weeks. The company that would later define technology was nearly erased from history. And the world moved on. Competitors laughed. Analysts predicted the end. People stopped believing. This is where most stories end. Not with drama, but with silence. Companies don't always die loudly. Sometimes they fade. Apple was fading, but failure doesn't always mean the end. Sometimes it means distance. While Apple struggled, Steve Jobs didn't disappear. He learned. He failed again. He rebuilt himself quietly. And then, when Apple had almost nothing left, they made a decision most people thought was impossible. They brought him back. No celebration, no guarantees, just one last chance. Jobs returned to a company that no longer believed in itself. And instead of doing more, he did less. He cut products. He simplified. He focused. This is the path most people miss. Not chasing everything, but choosing what matters. There was no instant success, no overnight miracle, just discipline, patience, and the courage to walk forward without applause. Apple didn't roar back to life. It breathed, slowly. The iMac arrived, not perfect, but clear. Then came consistency, then identity. Piece by piece, Apple remembered who it was. Not the biggest, not the loudest, but focused. People didn't notice immediately. Growth rarely announces itself, but something had changed. The chaos was gone. The noise was gone. The fear was quieter. This is what rebuilding really looks like. Not dramatic wins, but steady movement. Apple didn't rush the process. They walked through it. Apple survived. Not because the world became kind, but because they endured long enough to find clarity. Years later, Apple would become one of the most valuable companies on earth. But that's not the lesson. The lesson is this. Apple's greatest moment didn't come when it was winning. It came when it refused to disappear. They walked through rejection, through loss, through doubt, and they arrived, not just at success, but at identity. If you're in a season where money is tight, where progress feels slow, where belief feels fragile, remember this. Even Apple was almost forgotten. And the only reason it isn't is because it didn't stop walking. If you're walking through a hard season, subscribe to Walk Through It. You're not alone.